What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another Madden 17 online game. Today, the defending NFC champions, the Atlanta Falcons, are the team to cover for the 32-team preview series we are doing for the upcoming NFL season. We all know what happened to the Falcons in the Super Bowl last year. Not really worth going over. They got the 28-3 lead against the Patriots. Blew it. Should have won the game. But looking back in last season, nonetheless, there's a lot to be proud of for this Atlanta Falcons franchise. And looking into the future, there is a lot to look forward to for this team. Last year, not many people had them as their Super Bowl favorites coming out the NFC, but they really got hot late at the end of the season. And all throughout the season, Matt Ryan was playing at an exceptionally high level. Thus, him winning the MVP of the league during the regular season. And then in the playoffs, this offense was just clicking. They were just playing smart football. And the one thing about this Falcons team that is going to be happening again next year is that they have depth all over the place. They probably have the most depth at pretty much every position of any team in the league, especially at positions that you want to have depth at. They have good offensive linemen across the board. They have a bunch of good wide receivers. Their defensive line, they can rotate a bunch of guys in and out. You guys all know that the Falcons, part of what they're trying to do with Dan Quinn at the head coach position, is trying to recreate the magic that the Seattle Seahawks have built through the draft and built, through veteran players, all the depth on the defensive line, the Legion of Boom and all that stuff. So Atlanta definitely getting part of that done, especially with the amount of depth they have on that defensive line, and their secondary looking pretty solid as well. All the depth they have, the cornerback spot's definitely one of the biggest spots of depth for the Atlanta Falcons. They lost Desmond Trufant last year. That's their shutdown corner. They lost him midway through the season, and that was supposed to sink the passing defense. And I mean, it wasn't really that good, but they had a lot of depth to where they were able to contain other teams just enough to where they can let this offense go to work. And then Matt Ryan did his thing. They have one of the best running back tandems that was especially shown off during the playoffs. Devontae Freeman and Tevin Coleman, they were all over the place. Look at this, by the way. How are you going to give this message during a friendly game? It's a friendly game. It doesn't really matter, man. This is just a game against a subscriber, and Madden is trying to be all savage out here. But the Falcons, as you know, I've mentioned before, the draft is a big reason why teams succeed in this league. It's a really heavy draft-based thing about what you've done the last 5, 4, 3 seasons based on how you build your team. They already drafted Matt Ryan like 10 years ago, but what they've done in the past 5 seasons has been absolutely phenomenal, starting with the 2013 draft. I'm just going to read you guys the names that they've drafted since 2013. All guys that are still on the team, by the way. Desmond Trufant, Robert Alford, Toy Lolo, you got Jake Matthews, Hagman, Devontae Freeman, Ricardo Allen at the free safety spot, Vic Beasley first-round pick a couple of years ago, Jalen Collins at the cornerback spot, Tevin Coleman, you got Justin Hardy, Grady Jarrett, Keanu Neal last year, Deion Jones last year, Austin Hooper last year, Devondre Campbell last year as well. All guys that are playing big parts on this squad, and that's what you got to do to win in this league. You got to draft really well, and you got to have a really good quarterback or just a lights-out defense. They don't really have the lights-out defense, but they got a lot of depth, a lot of good players, and the quarterback spot is really good. The offensive line was, really good last year, and that's something that the Falcons really focused on, making sure that they had the protection to let Matt Ryan do his thing, let the running backs do their thing, and it's one of the elite offensive lines in the league. Jake Matthews got drafted, one of the names I mentioned. They traded for Andy Levitre, and that ended up being a great thing for him. Levitre was kind of a misfit in Tennessee after he was really good in Buffalo, and now he's back in Atlanta doing his thing. Alex Mack, big-time signing last season, and that really worked out. He was one of the best centers last season in the NFL. He was a little bit hurt last year at the end of it, but I mean, when he was playing healthy, he was really good. Ryan Schrader, he's been one of the better right tackles in the league the last couple of years, so you got that. And in the wide receiver spot, not only do they have these guys that are all pretty good, and then Julio Jones, who's amazing, these guys are all pretty versatile guys. They can, Mohamed Sanu can play in the slot if you need him to. Julio can obviously play in the slot. Taylor Gabriel, the speedster, you can do what you need him to do. So they have all these guys, but not only that, these are guys that can, play on the field, do different things, throw you off guard. And then the defensive side, of all the depth I talked about, Vic Beasley's in there, Adrian Claiborne, he's kind of a cast off of the NFL doing his thing. They got Courtney Upshaw in there, Brooks Reed, and these aren't really big names. These aren't really big household names. Dontari Poe is in there. He's going to be a situational guy trying to stop the run. But it's just, they have these many players that sometimes it's better to have a big collection of pretty good players over just having like one superstar kind of guy, because when you had that one guy, you depend on him so much, and then the other guys aren't getting anything done. Once he starts facing double teams, it's like, oh, well, but you got Grady Jarrett, you got Rasheed Hageman, all these guys that are going to be in there in the trenches battling the linebacking core. Devondre Campbell got drafted, and Deion Jones last year. They're pretty good. And then, like I said, there's their secondary. It's not a good secondary. It's not a great secondary, I should say. It's a good secondary. But it gets the job done mainly because the Falcons' offense was so high power last year. Ricardo Allen, he's a sneaky good player. He was a guy that, did okay in his rookie year, and he's really stepped into the play his second year. Keanu Neal in his rookie year. That was a pretty good pick for them. Desmond Trufant, he'll be back for this upcoming season. But besides him, Robert Alford's been around for a while. Brian Poole just got drafted. And then Jalen Collins. He didn't really have too good of a rookie year, but he really came on strong his second year. Those guys all really worked together once Desmond Trufant came back. So all in all, as you can tell, I do like this Falcons team. I like just the amount of depth that they have. It's, they're poised to do something pretty good this year. Get the number 1 seed, or not the ones. I think they got the 2 seed in the NFC. Yeah, Falcons definitely got the 1 seed, but the Cowboys got the 1 seed. But the Falcons got one of the top seeds last year, and they made it work, especially once the Cowboys got eliminated. The NFC is really a random conference. Like in the AFC, it's the same couple of teams that compete. Usually it's Pittsburgh, it's New England, usually Baltimore. It wasn't the last couple of seasons, but those same kind of teams just compete every single time. The NFC, you just never know what's going to happen, and you just never know once you make it to the top if you're going to return. And the Falcons, by being first place in their division last year, they are going to have a pretty tough schedule. Being first place in the NFC means you have to play against Dallas, play against Green Bay, and play against Seattle next season. If you're not one, or you are one of those 3 teams I just mentioned, you got to play against Atlanta. So being first place in the NFC was really cool last year, but this year, you maybe wish you didn't finish in first place, because these are some tough teams that are going to be tough again next season. So with that, the Falcons, will they go 14-2 or something crazy? No, I just don't see it. There's too many tough games on their schedule. And on top of that, the NFC South, not only is it, a tough division already with the teams that they have and the quarterbacks in that division, the NFC South games are always just absolute crapshoots. It's one of the funnest division rivalry games to watch, especially Falcons versus Saints. That's been one of my personal favorite rivalries to watch the last 5 or 6 seasons. Matt Ryan and Drew Brees, they just torch defenses all the time in that rivalry, so it's always fun to watch. They always have some classic games, and now Jameis Winston's in the division. Cam's been in the division for a while. They've had some close games, the Falcons and the Panthers have had lately. Remember 2 seasons ago, the Falcons, they were the team that beat the Panthers, the first team to beat the Panthers in the regular season when they were going that long streak. So you got those battles, you got the top teams to face against, and then the rest of the teams in the league. I don't think the Falcons will be like a 1 seed or anything like that, but they'll definitely be playoff contenders. I see them going somewhere between 9-7 and 11-5, maybe even 12-4. Who knows? But the main thing about the Falcons that I'm talking about here, they got all this depth. Most of these guys were on the team last year, so they got all the experience. They got the playoff run. They got to see what was going on when the team was doing good. By the way, Austin Hooper, did I mention him at the tight end spot? Tight end spot, they even got depth at. They got Toy Lolo. They got Austin Hooper last year in the draft, so yeah, that's another good spot for the Falcons. But yeah, I like Austin Hooper. I just want to get that out there. But yeah, so they're bringing pretty much all of these guys back from last year. 2 years ago, the Super Bowl teams, the Broncos and the Panthers, both didn't make the playoffs, but that's because they weren't returning key members. The Broncos had a quarterback situation that was never really solved. It's kind of Simeon right now. No one even knows. And then, of course, the Panthers, they let go of Josh Norman, their best defensive player, or their best secondary player, and their best defensive player, Luke Kuechly, got hurt for a while. So you never know what can happen to injuries. That can always, affect the team. But just on paper right now, the Falcons, they look really good. And like I said, man, I can make all these predictions and stuff and say what I think is going to happen. Obviously, I'm no expert, but let's say experts actually make their opinions and their predictions on the season. You never know what's really going to happen in the NFL, and that is the fun thing because, all these young players, you never know how they're going to fit. You never know what kind of system the head coaches are going to put in. And with Kyle Shanahan and Dan Quinn together, that was a big dynamic duo. Losing Kyle Shanahan, definitely something to mention with this Falcons offense. He's definitely one of the bright minds in the NFL. He's in the 49ers now. And you could tell the Falcons, they were just outsmarting teams sometimes on offense, the way they would put their players in positions to excel. But Shanahan's gone. His lasting memory is not calling the best plays when they choked the lead. So maybe Falcons fans might actually want him gone. But most of them that know what was going on in Atlanta, they're going to miss Kyle Shanahan. It's probably going to show at some point in the season. But still, you know, with the way this squad is set up, Matt Ryan definitely played his best under Kyle Shanahan last year, but, you know, Falcons definitely poised to do pretty good. I'm not sure they're going to do it as good as they last year, but there's also places they can improve last year. A lot of these young guys, they're getting another year of experience, and it's going to only make them better. Deion Jones, Campbell, Keanu Neal, Ricardo Allen, all those guys, they're just going to get better with more experience, but at the same time, will Matt Ryan play as well as they did last year? Probably not. Will they had one of the best turnover ratios like they did last year? Probably not, because last year, I mean, they didn't force too many turnovers, and they could do better with that, but they were the best team along with New England in turning the ball over the least amount of times. So, you know, will that happen again? Probably not, but they're still a pretty good team. There's definitely ways the Falcons can improve, though, and that's the thing. They're not, you know, a juggernaut kind of team on paper right now, because their pass defense can definitely get better. Their run defense can definitely get better, but they had the pieces to turn it around, so hopefully for them. And then even their pass protection, Matt Ryan got sacked quite a bit of times. There's places to improve for the squad, but there's always something good with having continuity in any sport, and that definitely counts for football, where it's hard to find that continuity. But Falcons have it, and that's a reason why I think that they're just going to be hard to top. And then, like, if their offense plays any bit as they did last year, Julio Jones, he and Antonio Brown were the two best receivers last year. I don't really think you're going to have too much of an argument with people about that. Maybe there's, you know, maybe someone throw Odell or something like that in there. But those were probably the two undisputed, for the most part, best receivers last year. Julio had that freakish game against the Panthers, and overall, just a monster. You remember that one catch that should have really solidified the Super Bowl Julio had in the sidelines? That was going to be the catch of the year, but, you know, they choked the lead. So overall, Falcons looking pretty good. Like I said, somewhere between that 9-7 and 11-5 area. And, you know, just having these pieces together for at least one more season, definitely going to be big for this squad. This game, by the way, that is an absolute blowout. At a certain point, I had like 70 points at the end of the third quarter. I was like, you know, maybe we might be able to score 100 here. But we kind of slowed down at the fourth quarter. I threw an interception trying to force the ball. And then, you know, I really didn't want to continue to just run hurry up or anything stupid like that. It was already like a 14-70 game, so I didn't think it was necessary to. So I kind of just killed the clock at the end of the games and got a victory here. So I'll kick into our opponent right here, and that'll pretty much wrap it up for the Falcons. Leave a like in the video if you guys enjoyed it. Subscribe for more. Atlanta, let me know. I mean, I was pretty bullish on the squad, but let me know what you guys think anyways about the Atlanta Falcons, or people who don't think the Falcons are going to do well. Let me know why you think they're going to fall off, why maybe their run was lucky last year. And on that note, I'll catch you guys next time.